Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to East Turkestan people's protest against China's ongoing genocide. The Uyghurs and I thank you for coming out and supporting us. The reason we are gathered here is to commemorate East Turkestan's Mourning Day, which took place on December 22, 1949. 79 years ago, the people of East Turkestan restored their independence and established the Second East Turkestan Republic. However, the independence was a short-lived one, as the Chinese government regained control of East Turkestan on December 12, 1949 once more. For the following 74 years after that, the Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, Uzbeks, and other Turkic peoples in East Turkestan became subjected to ethnic cleansing, massacres, modern slavery, active apartheid, and colonization. China has mercilessly restrained our identities and voices. Almost 10 years ago, China began establishing internment camps across East Turkestan. Currently, millions of Uyghurs, Uzbeks, Kazakhs, Tajiks, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples are imprisoned in concentration camps where they face torture, death, and persecution.
Hello everyone. Today, I stand here before you to commemorate the East Turkestan National Day of Mourning. December 22 marked the 74th year since the complete occupation of the Uyghur homeland by the Chinese regime. The Second East Turkestan Republic was established on November 12, 1944, when the Uyghur, Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Uzbek, and other peoples of East Turkestan rose up against Chinese imperialist occupation and redeclared independence as a modern republic. Devastatingly, the East Turkestan Republic was invaded and overthrown on December 22, 1949 by China once more. We stand here today to condemn China's crime of occupation, followed by the countless crimes of oppression inflicted upon the Uyghurs in the prolonged 74 years of Chinese occupation. Occupation escalated to ethnic cleansing, which eventually escalated into full-blown genocide. Millions have been imprisoned in concentration camps where they experienced torture and other forms of inhumane brutality. Those outside of the concentration camps are forbidden from expressing their Uyghur identity, unable to speak their language, and even banned from uttering the name of our country, East Turkestan. These millions are not mere numbers. They are our fathers, our mothers, our brothers, and our sisters. Our history and our existence are being erased as we speak. Uyghurs all over the world live in anger and hurt. Anger that even outside of our country, we are unable to break the silence that has been forced on the Uyghurs for decades. The world at large does not hear us. The atrocities faced by the Uyghurs are overlooked and often disregarded and downplayed. Unfortunately, this has been accepted to be the natural state of things, considering the vast lack of media coverage available to the international community about the current situation of East Turkestan. Communication in and out of the country is next to impossible, and in many cases, Uyghurs within the country are also kept in the dark of certain occurrences. The vagueness and uncertainty that arises from such circumstances makes it so that people are unwilling to stand with or believe the Uyghurs. And so the Uyghurs are left to suffer in silence as the world watches. Today, not only do we mourn that fateful day all those years ago, but also for every atrocity that built up to the point that we are at now. We mourn the gradual loss of our identity as China continues to further its campaign of ethnic cleansing and genocide. We mourn for the children in East Turkestan who grow up unable to speak their own language in their own country. We grieve not being able to return to our beloved homeland. We grieve for the lives and dreams stolen by the Chinese government. And we urge the international community, countries, world leaders, organizations, and individuals to put themselves in our place, even if for a moment, and hear our plea for help. The first step is to listen, to truly hear what we are trying to tell you. Only when the world begins to listen can we make a meaningful change. We call on the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice, the UN, and Canada to recognize and condemn China's acts of genocide against the Uyghurs of East Turkestan. Again, we call on the International Criminal Court, the International Court of Justice, the UN, and Canada to recognize East Turkestan as an occupied country and to support our efforts to regain our independence and put an end to China's prolonged campaign of ethnic cleansing, genocide, and occupation. As for the general public, we call on you to continue to take part in our protests and to encourage those around you to do the same. Don't stop talking about the Uyghurs and keep us in your prayers. It is vital that the people of East Turkestan are never forgotten. Educate yourself further about the current people of East Turkestan and feel free to reach out to the Uyghurs in the community. Boycott brands such as Zara, H&M, and Nike who use Uyghur slave labor and are complicit in the genocide of Uyghurs. This National Day of Mourning is not only a day to grieve, but also a day to renew our resolve as Uyghurs. We pledge to continue our fight until the day when the people of East Turkestan can once again live freely, practice their culture and religion without fear, and chart their own future in their ancestral land. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you today to share with you the situation of my country, East Turkestan. East Turkestan is a country in Central Asia with a beautiful and rich history, culture, and identity. East Turkestan was the ancestral homeland of Uyghurs and other Turkic people until China completed their invasion of our motherland on December 22, 1949. Today, as we stand here before the legislature building, we come together to mark a day of deep historical and emotional significance for East Turkestan. December 22, our National Mourning Day. It is a reminder of the tragic day in 1949 when the independent East Turkestan Republic was crushed under the oppressive regime of the Chinese Communist Party. This day marks the beginning of an era of relentless oppression, colonization, and genocide. A dark chapter in our history where our identity, freedom, and very existence is threatened. On behalf of the Prime Minister of East Turkestan government in exile, I stand before you, not as just a representative of our government, but as a voice for the voiceless, echoing the cries of those suffering under a regime that has attempted to extinguish the spirits of our people. Today we are not here just to mourn. We are here to highlight the urgency of restoring our independent state. It is the only way to ensure our freedom, human rights, dignity, and very existence. This day reminds us that fight is not just about reclaiming our past, but about securing our future. In the wake of the fall of the East Turkestan Republic, China began a brutal campaign of repression. From December 1949 to January 1952, over 150,000 East Turkestanis were mercilessly killed for resisting Chinese occupation. This, however, was only the beginning of the endless oppression inflicted on the Uyghurs. immediately following the beginning of 2014, under the false pretext of anti-terrorism and anti-separatism campaigns, the Chinese occupation forces subjected millions of Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples to genocide and other crimes against humanity. As we speak, millions of Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyz, and other Turkic peoples are locked up in concentration camps and prisons, places where human dignity is trampled upon and the spirit is tested in the cruelest of ways. These camps are not just facilities for incarceration. They are centers of systematic indoctrination designed to erase our identity, our heritage, and our very essence as people. Outside the camps, Uyghurs and other Turkic people are subjected to continuous surveillance and even have Han Chinese watchguards living and sleeping in their own home as relatives. But the atrocities do not end there. Millions more of our brothers and sisters are enslaved in Chinese factories and forced labor camps, enduring harsh conditions and exploitation, all in the name of China's economic ambitions. This forced labor is not just a violation of human rights, it is a modern form of slavery, a stain on the conscience of the world. The plight of our children is particularly heart-wrenching. Millions of Uyghur and other Turkic children have been forcibly separated from their families. They are being indoctrinated in state-run facilities, their minds molded to forget their roots, their language, and their culture, and in a sinister attempt to assimilate and erase them as distinct people. Moreover, the horror faced by East Turkestan women cannot be overstated. Tens of thousands of women are subjected to state-sponsored rape through enforced marriages to Han Chinese men. This is not just a violation of individual rights. It's a systematic campaign to undermine and destroy the fabric of our society. These forced marriages are a tool of demographic engineering, a cruel strategy to dilute and eventually erase our presence on our ancestral land. These atrocities are not mere incidents. They are part of a calculated, systematic campaign by the Chinese government to annihilate our identity and existence. It's a genocide happening in real time, under the watch of the international community. We must not remain silent. We call upon the international community, led by Canada and the United States, to recognize these acts for what they are, a genocide. We implore you to move beyond these mere statements and take concrete actions to pressure the Chinese government to halt these atrocities. The recognition of East Turkestan as an occupied country and active support for its restoration of independence is not just a moral imperative. It is a necessary step to end this genocide and safeguard our future. May peace, justice, freedom, and independence prevail in East Turkestan.
No more silence, no more lies!
No more silence, no more lies!
China's committing genocide!
China's committing genocide!
No more silence, no more lies!
No more silence, no more lies!
China's committing genocide!
China's committing genocide!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Boycott China!
Boycott China!
Terrorist China!
Terrorist China!
Independence for East Turkestan! Long live East Turkestan!
Long live East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Independence for East Turkestan!
Long live East Turkestan!
Long live East Turkestan!
Thank you everyone for coming out today. I just wanted